I was one of the Native American children, adopted at birth and removed from our country's Indian reservation system. I was raised in a small middle-class farming community, but was never told of my true American Indian heritage. It was still taboo back in those early days. The years passed, and in 1987 I lost both parents. While going through their personal belongings, my wife discovered my adoption papers and she began a search. 5 years later, I was reunited with my biological Lakota family, living on the lower Brulé Sioux Indian Reservation of South Dakota. I am a son of two mothers and a product of two worlds that had collided, but I have an equal amount of love and pride for both. I'm Paul LaRoche, and the stories you are about to see are an attempt to share this true American story of a hidden heritage.
Hello, this is Paul LaRoche with a special message. First of all, a shout out to everyone for helping to give our new podcast, Hidden Heritage, a great start. This is our third month and we are now on our 33rd episode. As many of you know, I am also the founder of the contemporary Native American music and dance group, Brulé. This podcast and all of its content is a result of the concerts, travels, stories, and music that have come from the Brulé 30-year soulful journey. We have strived to bring you quality and positive content from across the American Indian culture. Also, all the music you hear during the podcast is from our Brulé 20 CD, 280-song, award-winning music catalog. Over the course of our 30-year journey, we in Brulé have become our own concert promoters and show sponsors. The mainstream entertainment industry has never really figured out what to do with a group like Brulé, as our music and message of hope, peace, and reconciliation defy the current mainstream music categories. So we have virtually carved out our own niche as we have pioneered one of the last musical frontiers. As we move forward with the Hidden Heritage podcast, we expect this trend to be the same. So like we have done in the past, we at Brulé will be providing our own sponsorship. Starting with all future podcasts, we will include several short but very important sponsorship ads from our sponsor, us. To sustain the production of the Hidden Heritage podcast and to create new music, we are asking you, our loyal fans and listeners, to help support our efforts by visiting the Brulé store, which is found at www.brulmusic.com. That carries all of our products and merchandise. We will be offering special products and pricing, and we hope you will check out and purchase our music and our apparel line of merchandise. Your support will allow us to continue sharing the rich heritage and stories that are so important to all of us. We will continue touring and performing concerts as opportunities arise. But your support will ensure that we can keep the music, the message, and the podcast alive. Please visit the Brulé store at www.brulmusic.com and learn more about how you can support the future of Brulé and the Hidden Heritage podcast. I'm Paul LaRoche. Be sure to join us on the next episode. From all of us at Hidden Heritage, thank you. In 2007, our group Brulé planned what was to be our largest, most difficult, and most controversial concert of our 30-year journey. It would become our flagship endeavor and reach a worldwide audience. Our journey to Mount Rushmore and the Brulé Concert for Reconciliation of the Cultures was documented as follows.
Mostly Native American. This, I get the Black Hills is a sacred area for Native Americans, which I understand Paul and his family, most of the members are Native American. That way I feel it is appropriate. But this not Native American stuff up here on the rock. That's me.
Do you think this is the right place for this concert?
Yes, I do. Because we bring national attention to the cause that you're trying to do, to the cultural awareness, and what better place is right in the heart of it. So that way you'll reach thousands, if not tens of thousands of people that would never have a clue, but all of a sudden, boom, you have your audience and you have your attention, and that's the whole goal of it, that recognition to move forward.
I think for the sake of the fact when you want people to talk and you want them to spread the word out as much as possible, you do want to go somewhere where they're really going to create talk. If you were to go somewhere very neutral, it would be almost expected. And then maybe there wouldn't be so much talk about it. There wouldn't be so many people discussing the issues in general. To go somewhere where, there is, some people think it's a good idea and some people think it's a bad idea. Everybody's going to talk about it. So therefore, it was the right place to do that because it will create that spark that's going to start the talk,
Mount Rushmore is a perfect place to have it because it is common ground to everybody. The surroundings, though, the national park, I think symbolizes what's been there forever, way before even human beings were around. But I think because of that also is a good reminder that that land, before it was the United States, was something else. And I think the sense of that, it's a great place. And if somebody is coming to Mount Rushmore to see the show and they've never seen Brulé before, I think the message is even more powerful just being in some place where they're not thinking about Native American politics or white politics, where they just are maybe more open to it. Either way, all right, reconciliation, we can do this or not or whatever. In that sense, I think it was a good choice. On the production scheme of it, and just the whole hugeness of it, you can't get a better place than Mount Rushmore. It's just wonderful.
I believe that it's the right place. I also for that fact, the fact that it symbolizes freedom and part of it's our country. We're talking about and bridging the gap or between the cultures. Not only the white culture but other cultures. That it needs to happen, and it needs to happen here. But I also believe that the Crazy Horse Monument would be a good place to also do a concert there too.
Here at the Mount Rushmore Memorial is a start in that rejuvenation process and that healing process for all cultures to learn and educate. And Paul's message to all people and all cultures is that we all get along and that we all heal our culture and expand on that horizon.
The location for Mount Rushmore in the Black Hills is definitely something that's is a bit controversial. People definitely have their opinions about it, whether it's right or whether it's wrong. But I always think back to Paul's message of this message of the seventh direction, and that if you want to achieve something with good intention, then you have to follow your heart and follow your spirit. And that's definitely a place that, this fantastic musical magic should happen in this place, regardless of what's there now, whether people agree or disagree with it. It's something that has happened, and the history of centuries and centuries ago, even long before that we even have oral stories talked about, things have happened there. You can, when you go to the Black Hills, you can really feel this. You get this essence in the rocks, in the trees, and the wildlife. You get a very, very strong essence. That landscape and environment matching up with this music definitely is a great melding of this other world of nature, of environment, of cultures together.
In 1948, not far from Mount Rushmore, a carving began on another granite peak. Several times larger than Mount Rushmore and backed by many Lakota leaders, the Crazy Horse Memorial depicting the famous Lakota leader is seen by some as a response to Mount Rushmore.
In actually selecting Mount Rushmore, there was a thought process to it. Now, I would have to say for the record that it's always been just my desire and my hope that this would be the best location. And I know it's not shared by others in the world of entertainment, others within our culture. But the Black Hills contains two historical locations, Mount Rushmore and Crazy Horse Mountain. Why wasn't the obvious choice of Crazy Horse passed over? Well, it was easy for me internally, and my thought was simply this: Crazy Horse Mountain came along after Mount Rushmore, and I believe it was an attempt by a wonderful family to put up a lasting monument for the Lakota people in a place where Mount Rushmore had found its home. And of course, there's a bit of a juxtaposition, I believe, between Mount Rushmore and the Black Hills, still the sacred land of the Lakota people. Certainly, there is a controversy at Mount Rushmore that has gone on over the course of history. It has always seemed like the perfect place to extend an arm out in forgiveness and to reach out for unity, and ultimately the perfect place to embark on the mission of reconciliation. It has always seemed to me like the perfect location.
Unable to make the full concert come to fruition at the beginning, the band began playing at the entrance to Mount Rushmore during the summer months. Slowly gaining support and respect over the years, word came in late 2006 that the concert could happen.
Well, in the actual planning of the concert itself, and it was by far the largest project I have ever undertaken in the course of our 30 years in the music industry. And to this day, I will say that it was the largest, biggest project that we have ever embarked on. But we began with the forming of a business plan, and that began really 7 years ago. And so it was a process of continually going through detail after detail on paper. You know, what kind of a financial budget was this going to require? How many people could we bring in? How could we tackle the massive production that was required to put this on, sound and lighting? It just began a little at a time. But I would say about a year out, we got very serious about making everything happen. So it was at a point to where we knew that it was going to require a rather large budget. But I'd say little by little over the course of that final year, the elements began to come together. We knew now what the musical team was going to be. And we knew that we were going to build the stage a certain way, and we knew that we were going to try to cover a certain amount of area with lighting and sound. We luckily had some experience over the past years with large stage productions, most of them indoor. But we'd had some experience. We'd had some vendors and who had worked with us in the past. And so we began to call in some favors. We began to pull together the team that we felt confident in that could make this happen.
As with most independent musicians, funds are always an issue. With many expenses ahead of him, Paul turned to outside investors.
There was never any interest that came from the independent record label that I used to work with in earlier times, and they passed on it many times. We did not have enough financial resources ourselves really to tackle the large undertaking financially. When you're talking about film crews, you're talking about production companies, personnel, housing, and lodging for people over the course of a week, rehearsal schedules.
In addition to the traditional Brulé lineup, guest performers were included in the performance to make the concerts extra special.
I'm very honored to be asked to drum with this band. maybe to sing with this band. I just hope that people enjoy the music and connect with it. Paul's done a great job, and I'm sure in the days ahead that he's going to find a greater understanding of his place with his nation, his people, and he's going to be able to bring the message of freedom home to where it belongs, where it's always been, and that's what I look forward to.
It was an honor. It was just a lot of fun and hard work. Yeah, it was a special gig. I've been drumming a long time, and that was really a special evening.
With the band maintaining their normal tour schedule in 2007 and Paul focusing on funds for the concert, rehearsal time for the band was scarce. The first rehearsal session didn't come until just weeks before the show.
We only had a few weeks to really bring the entire cast together. The musical part of this performance, the actual personnel that made up the band for Mount Rushmore, never really got completely together until days before the concert. We held a short round of rehearsals in our house just west of Sioux Falls, and we began to work our way through the material. We worked with a drummer great drummer from Minneapolis, Kurt Olson. It was his first time with Brulé, and so it was a whole new part of the production. And we had to kind of begin to work on how do we implement a new member in a way that we've never done it before. Well, everything went pretty good, because I believe when you work with professionals, you get a professional product. We certainly were fortunate to have brought in some great people.
As the concert dates drew nearer, the band packed up every piece of equipment they had for every possible situation. What can go wrong will go wrong. After a quick concert stop in Mitchell, South Dakota, the band and crew made their most important trip to the Black Hills ever. For Paul, it was a journey back in time to 1968 when he made his first trip to the hills with his adoptive family, unaware of his link to this sacred site.
As a young boy at the age of 9, I made my first visit to Mount Rushmore with my parents, and it certainly had made an impression on me as a youngster. What young child wouldn't be overwhelmed by the sight of these great presidents carved out so monumentally, and they're looking at great heights. But I didn't realize the significance of Mount Rushmore. Well, years later, to come back and stand there and now look at Mount Rushmore from the perspective of not only a young boy who grew up in southwest Minnesota, but now I was a member of the Lakota, and so it took on new significance to me.
Before the final concert planning could take place, the band was slated for a week of performances at the Mount Rushmore main gate over the 4th of July. As the sun beat down, the band played for thousands of visitors, unaware of what this little group from South Dakota was about to accomplish. While the band continued to entertain at the main gate, the crew from DMM Systems out of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, were the first to arrive to begin the stage setup process. The custom lighting setup and sound equipment was all assembled from the ground up.
Well, the first time we went out to Mount Rushmore was in December of 2006, and we walked the site, we measured the site, and Paul had already given us an indication of what he wanted things to look like for the show. So our first visit there in December was to make sure it would fit. And if it didn't fit, to make accommodations so that it would. And after leaving there, we determined that it would be fine. We had to find out some more information about power and other resources that we need for the show. But for the most part, we knew that we could do it, which was good news. And then I returned to the site, I believe it was in April, where we did another check of measurements. We already had a set design put together, and we just wanted to make sure again that everything was correct in what we had measured, and height-wise and width-wise, and it was a really, really big set that we put in there. And it had never been done in Mount Rushmore before, so it was something that we needed to make sure was going to be perfect. Most everything we needed for the show was in-house, or resources were available near Rapid City. Probably the biggest challenge for the Mount Rushmore project was power, and reliable power. So we had very, very large generators brought down from North Dakota, and again, the reliability of a generator is always questionable, so we had to make sure we had 2 generators, and both generators had to be large enough to power the entire show, light-wise and sound-wise, in case the other one decided not to work. The design of the show really didn't take much extra from what we do for a holiday performance in Brulé. It was just more lighting than what you'd probably see in a theater or arena, because it was outdoors. And on the camera side of things, we needed to, or on the filming part of it, we needed to make sure there was enough light so that the cameras would be able to pick up what we were filming. So that was a big challenge, getting that much light in a space that started out with the sunset and then gradually. The show was Friday, Saturday. We arrived on Monday. And the first day, Monday, the goal was basically to get in, and we call it a grid. And there was a grid, if you watch the show, there's a huge lighting grid that's above the band. And the first day was to build that grid, which was actually down on the ground, and then raises up about 32 feet above the band. So the first day, we just went to get in and get the aluminum grid built, and the towers up, and that was it. And so it was a 5-day process from starting Monday at noon until showtime, I believe it was 7 or so on Friday. What you see is almost 16 to 18 hours a day to get to that point to where we were able to start the show. I think the biggest compliment that Mount Rushmore gave Brulé and the technical crew is that they just kept on saying, wow, we can't believe that you did this here. And to hear that come from a national monument and management was just great. It was really, really nice to hear. I think the shows went very, very smoothly for the time period that we had to deal with. And also, it really surprised everybody, I guess is the word that I'm looking for, is that it was a really pleasant surprise that once we got to the show, it's like everybody was starting the first show going, ah! And then we got about halfway through and everybody went, oh, all right, we know how to do this, and away we went. So it went very, very well.
Preparations were then made for the filming of the concert. A local film crew was contracted to film the shows. Armed with professional high-definition cameras, the film crew was organized and prepped just days before the shows. Slowly, dancers and crew began to arrive in the hills, each with a different story and background to tell.
I'm just happy to be dancing with the bunch. This is a love of my life. I love to do this. I love to make the regalia. I like to wear it. And when I get the regalia on, I feel good. I feel like I'm supposed to be.
I just like to thank Paul and Kathy and Nicole and Shane and all the people through the years that have come on board and made a contribution to this music, to the dancing and to the story. I like to remember all of those people, even if it's, coming up to buy a CD or saying, we really enjoyed your performance. All of those contributions to this group are always remembered. And, we always have really great stories on the road, as you might have seen in the DVD. And also in the book about these stories of all the people. So it's really great to be a part of this family and to truly get this message across that we are all related.
It's been a pleasure to work with Paul and the Brulé's message. We're a small part in that, and that down the future we hope that all people come together and listen to the music and hear the message through the music.
As the mother of these two and another son that I have that isn't here today, we kind of believe in what Paul is trying to do, get what he's trying to accomplish here today and throughout, the whole year, with his music. And if that's the way he can do it, then, you know, more power to him.
In order to reach people from different areas, not only of the world, or to reach people in their hearts, I think one thing that Brulé has done is they've done it through music. And they've soothed many hearts and many lives from people from all over the world. I look on their website and I listen to people, and wherever I go, and some people stop me and they ask me, you know, like, you've performed with Brulé, haven't you? And I say, yeah, you know, I'm just proud to be a part of it. And they, in return, you know, tell me how the music of Brulé has changed their life. And I think that's a wonderful and powerful statement, because not only has the music changed their lives, they have taken that step to look inside the Native American culture, and they've opened up their eyes, and then they've read more about it, and to realize that we are not just one tribe, but we are many tribes, and we continue to stay, and we continue to exist. And if that can continue to be done, for people to have a better understanding, and also to soothe their hearts, because truly we are from one race, and that is the human race. And I think that's the biggest powerful statement that people make.
Time was precious in the days before the concerts. Most of the pre-production and rehearsal happened right in the amphitheater.
You know, it was days before the concert when the really serious rehearsals took place. I'd say Wednesday and Thursday, 2 days before the concert. That's when most everything came together for the very first time. We were fortunate in the fact that we had performed the material for years. The core group had been playing this material for literally years. In some cases, some of these songs we played hundreds of times before. And so, you know, we had that confidence that the material was the right material, and the core group was comfortable with it. The dance troupe that we worked with for this particular show, we felt was the best of the best that we had worked with over the years. Not just their dancing ability, but their attitudes and their spirit that they brought to the performance was the best that you could have. And so a lot of us kind of worked together, and that, I think, kind of carried us through. The new members worked hard enough to make the whole thing work, but it was a bit nerve-wracking, to say the least.
Meanwhile, the eyes of the native world began to settle on Mount Rushmore and Brulé, with some in favor of the concerts and others not so happy about the event.
You know, it's traditional people. It's traditional people that were a little upset, again, because, as I stated earlier, it is a controversial place. But it ain't controversial to anyone else. It's only controversial to the people, to the American Indian people. I do understand from a traditional mindset of the people, where they're coming from. And I think that it's really going to be an uneasy and a touchy subject. I think it will always remain to be a touchy subject. And so I think that if it is meant to be, regardless of who's upset, regardless of who's happy and celebrating it, if it's meant to be, the spiritual realm will be there.
I think everything that's happening here at Mount Rushmore is positive for us. We have people from all over the world coming here to one place, but really, when it comes down to it, they also get the opportunity to see my group educate people about what the music is about, and we as natives and what we are about, and that we function just like everybody else in this world. And anything and everything that comes out of this in a positive manner is going to be great. I don't think there's anything negative that's going to come out of this. We just hope we can educate people more about how we as natives continue to exist in this world as we know it.
Well, I guess at first I didn't think about it, but then I heard a couple of people talking about it, and I can see where it's controversial, and maybe, but it from my understanding, it was to bring any, to actually mend any hard feelings, and hopefully it did that.
Well, that's what I say. We should be unite, from all people instead of just trying to be greedy, grabby, and all that stuff. Should unite and make this America a home for the people as a whole. It's good to see this activities. I wish that throughout the whole country, people would come to activities such as this, even in Indian homes.
To add even more pressure, funding was still an issue when the outside investors pulled out at the last minute and all other investment options were exhausted.
Within about a month of the concert date, the financial investors that we had thought we'd organized had changed their minds and literally pulled out of the program. And so it was a critical point. I mean, it was a very critical point. We either had to make a decision to move forward and do it in any way, shape, or form that we could come up with, or we had to cancel. And I just felt like if we missed this opportunity in the year 2007, that it may never happen again. And so we took a leap of faith and once again decided that we would move forward and that the things that we needed would be there. We didn't know how. We had to apply some principles that you don't find in business school. We had to apply the Field of Dreams marketing strategy, which is basically, build it if they will come. We didn't have much money for the promotions or advertising. We were able to pull together the funding just enough to make the show happen. And once again, it came from within the Brulé family. And I'm proud to say that the family all stood together and made this happen at a very difficult point in the planning process. And so we just took a leap of faith. We felt confident in kind of throwing this out into the hands of a higher power. And we just stuck to our hearts and followed that seventh direction like the Lakota have done for years. And it ended up being the right choice.
On the day of the shows, musicians and dancers kept their pre-show jitters to a minimum, trying to go about their regular concert preparations like normal. As showtime drew nearer, people began to arrive and stake out their seats hours before the shows. Those that came early were treated to an early rehearsal. As both concerts were free to the public, no one in the group knew what to expect. Would there be 5 people in the stands or 5,000? Everything seemed to fall into place with cloudless skies, and as dusk descended, it became clear that this truly would be 2 magical nights to remember. From the time Park Superintendent Gerard Baker gave his opening speech, the crowd began to sense the importance of these nights.
So, ladies and gentlemen, to bring us closer together tonight and to share this reconciliation of cultures, I am extremely proud to introduce to you Brulé and the American Indian Rock Opera.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you. Thanks, you guys. Thank you. Thanks, folks. Thanks so much, folks.
Both concerts were considered an immense success. An estimated 11,000 people attended over the course of both evenings, making Brulé, Concert for Reconciliation of the Cultures, Mount Rushmore's largest concert event to date. For the fans in the stands, it was something that they will never forget.
And so you were here last night?
Yeah, I was here last night.
What'd you think?
I thought it was great. Great mix of songs
And
that
this
they had.
one
The music's very spiritual, touches your heart. I really enjoyed the concert.
Excellent. Did you come here last night?
Yes, I was here last night.
What'd you think?
Awesome.
So, better than any other concerts you've seen?
Yeah, actually.
We just hope everything goes well, which we know it will. We're looking forward to an awesome concert, which they always have anyhow. And we're waiting to hear some of the new additions that we see already. So I'm excited and just can't wait to get started. Let's go, Paul. Rocket Shane.
Were you here last night?
Yes, I was.
What'd you think?
It was awesome. Awesomely awesome.
Awesomely awesome. Looking forward to tonight? Second time around?
Well, yeah, kind of, but then again, no, because this is the last night.
So were you here last night?
Yes.
What'd you think?
It was awesome.
Awesome?
Very good.
Better than anything you've seen? You're kind of a new fan, so this is...
Absolutely.
Excellent. Excited for tonight?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so you attended the concert last night. What'd you think? Did you like it?
Wonderful, yes. Loved it.
Excellent.
Feelings on the show went awesome. We had a crowd, a massive crowd. It was awesome. It was a euphoria of no other. Can't explain.
Amazing, powerful, uplifting, positive.
There you go. You'll never see a show like that ever again.
Except for tonight.
Except for tonight. Encore.
How was your show, Shane?
Good.
Was it rank as far as concerts?
So far today, that's the most fun I've had on stage. So, tonight, it'd be hard to beat. But, I think we will.
How'd the show go, gentlemen?
Awesome. Oh, man.
Behind the scenes right here.
Yeah.
These are the two guys right here, the main dudes.
I mean, we might look like we're a little tired right now, but it was a thrill of a lifetime.
Clear. Yo, how'd the show go?
It went good. I like that Lewis guy's dancing. It's good.
That's me.
He was hot. He was smoking.
How'd the show go, gentlemen?
It's good. This is the man right here.
All right.
It was good. It was all good.
Hello there. How'd the show go?
It was pretty awesome.
English all right. Very cool. How'd the show go?
09. Very good.
Very good.
What'd you think about the show?
Show awesome.
Can I steal your gaze ring? No.
What'd you think about the show?
Can not be a chair?
No, yes, go to the light. Go to the light.
Sorry, I love you, okay? And the show is equally as amazing as you are.
Oh, it was a wonderful show. I'll do it again in a minute. Let's go do it again.
All right, let's go.
You know, every once in a while, I sit and think about a few things, and you know, I think about, you know, the product of two different families, and you know, I think sometimes I wonder if my parents could see, or can they see what's going on, and I owe a lot to not one but two mothers, one who gave me life and passed me on, and one who raised me to be who I am today. And it did for a moment at Mount Rushmore in the evening of the second night. It occurred to me that the ancestors and the elders were with us, and I knew that they looked on proudly.
impact of the concert is still being assessed. The first broadcast of the concert on South Dakota Public Broadcasting in December of 2007 was a great success, earning it a second airing just a week later, and has now been picked up nationally by PBS. Where can the message go from here? For Paul, the completion of this dream is just the tip of the iceberg.
In some ways, it seems to me like it's the beginning of yet another chapter, and I'll have to be honest. I don't know exactly where this is going to go, but there are some things I feel very confident in, and I do believe that that the message being the most important part of the performance, the message of hope, peace, and unity of all cultures, and of course. The theme that we are all related is very important. I think it's a message that needs to go out into the world at this particular time in history. We live in a time of great trial and tribulation around the world. Perhaps it's that the musicians of the world, the artists, the dancers, and we're just a small little group of farmers from South Dakota, Native American, from the smallest of the Lakota reservations. Sometimes when I think about it, it seems hard to imagine. But I think the message is universal and global, and I feel that it needs to go out into the world. Now, how far it goes, I don't know, but again, in trying to follow that direction, the seventh direction, having the internal mechanism, I feel like it's going to take on a life, and I feel that it will make its way out into the world and to the deepest corners of the globe, and we're going to follow that. We're going to chase that down. We're going to follow wherever that leads us to.
Oh, I think it's a wonderful idea. I mean, Paul's mission all along has just been to share his story and talk about healing between the cultures, and it's such a simple concept. But yet there's a lot of impact and power behind it. And so to see what he's doing with his life, his mission, I just think it's remarkable. And it says a lot about Paul and the kind of person he is, and Kathy as well, as to what they've chosen to do with their life.
I think the message is really good, really strong message. In fact, the whole performance, the whole music is just kind of like an experience. It's not just music, and that's what gets the message across so well.
I believe anything that can move forward and take the issues that you have such a heated debate on, but move forward in a positive direction is awesome. And anything that I can be part of that movement forward, love to. Because you cannot stay in the past. You cannot live in the past. There's no need to relive the past, but learn from it and move forward.
Well, the concept of reconciliation is awesome. To plan a show at Mount Rushmore and to actually try to make people aware of it is a great thing. The hope is once the show happens, people will see it and say, we can have reconciliation, and we can have reconciliation happen by leaders in the Native American community, people in the white community, black community, really doesn't matter, that aren't politicians, musicians or artists or writers or anybody can make reconciliation happen and probably get better exposure and actually, have more heart in it. And I think that's what the Mount Rushmore Project, for me, being involved and seeing how Paul's put together, it's all Paul's heart going into this project. So just watching him make the plans, once it's pulled off, the message there is a person that truly believes that this can really, really happen, and that we have to pay more attention to reconciliation. It can be done by somebody just by saying, I have a dream, and I'm going to make it happen, and it's reconciliation, and I want people to pay attention to that. It can happen, and cultures can work together, and it's not a want, it's really a need. And I think that's what the whole concept going into this, and why everybody's excited.
I think it's a really good idea. I think it's possible. It's a big, I think it's kind of like the word humans becoming existent on this planet. It's as big as that. It's like it's a huge universal thing for it to happen, but I really believe it can happen. I don't think it can take one concert can do it, one person can do it, and not even 10 people, you know. I think it's a life process that has to take place, you know, of almost like our mentality, you know, our logic, the ways that we think, the ways that we do things has to almost kind of evolve. And you know, only thing we can do at this time for us is to influence and to try and create that to happen and install that in the younger generation in order for them to even get better and bigger and make this continue on. I think that it's very much possible, but it's a very big undertaking for the whole civilization in general to take on. Probably other places, you know, I mean, like to other places, maybe other places in the United States, not so much in the Black Hills. I don't know. I think because if it's about reconciliation of all different kinds of things, to take it into places where there is conflict of all different kinds of things all over the place, I think conflict issues would be, or places would be, you know, not too high conflict, places of conflict between two things. It's always a good place to do something because then it gets the talking going.
We are a Native American band, and I love what we do. You know, I love seeing smiles on people's faces. I love it when someone comes up and it touches them. But then I look around and I'm wondering, you know, well, what's it gonna take for us to really take it to the next level to bring all nationalities together? Well, you know what? I don't know if that's something that'll ever occur. I don't know. You know, maybe this concert might do that. Maybe it won't. Maybe it's just gonna make matters worse. I don't know. A great site, a great place to rebuild reconciliation is to the horrible sites, the places such as the Wounded Knee Massacre site, Mankato, Minnesota, where they hung 38 Lakotas plus 2 Lakotas, and one of the largest hangings in the history of America, and that was appointed by Abraham Lincoln. People came from far, from coastlines, from the coast, to watch this hanging of savages, and buy tickets. I mean, it was a show, and I think to reestablish that healing, to begin that healing process, we need to really look at these places and educate the people in truth and honesty, teach them the truth, and when we're able to do that, then you know what, we're going to see some great strides. But we need that spiritual guidance, that spiritual help. That's my opinion. I mean, it could be anywhere. It could be in Sand Creek. A lot of sites that are hard, you know. And so you bring in the Native American Indian people. They see that. It brings them hope. And then bringing them hope, it brings them that first steps towards healing. And then when they begin that first step towards healing, and when the non-Native people are educated in truth and honesty and know the truth, then it helps them to better understand, and then that builds that bridge. But when you just go to one side, if it's non-Natives, there's no reconciliation. Or if you just go to the American Indian side, there's no reconciliation. So it has to occur in a place where both can meet, where there's truth and honesty, and where the people can begin their healing.
Well, I believe that Paul's vision, his ideas, what he likes to do is a really good message to put out there, connecting two different worlds through music, and also us as a family to be part of that is really we're really thankful, and it's really fun to see and also to be a part of.
I think this is a long time coming. It needed to be done sooner or later, and I think this is the right time.
Well, my personal take on the reconciliation of the cultures is a very, very true journey that Mr. LaRoche has decided to take. And, it's a personal choice and something that was actually gifted upon from the great mystery, this creator. And this journey that Paul decided to take through music, song, and dance is one that is a very hard road to take. But when achieved, true transcendency of the blending of these two cultures, the blending of sounds through song and dance, equals transcendency. So with the melding of all of these elements, with the foundation of the traditionalism, the foundation of spiritualism, and the foundations of modern day times, can truly meld all of the threads together, that we as people are all related. And I feel like this is a really strong message that all of us as dancers, as singers, as flute players, as drummers, as keyboardists and guitarists, and indigenous people, as well as the people that you don't see in the background, as well as the audience members, all coming together for unity on this circle. It is said that this circle is very sacred and important because no one has a back seat, no one has a front seat. Everyone has the same seat, and so that we're all connected. So that kind of brings me back to this reconciliation of cultures, of bringing all people together.
I've always said this, and I'd like to state it again that I feel like I've been one of the luckiest people in the world. To have been given a second lease on life, to have been brought into yet another culture, and to have found a place between the two where you feel like you're working at something important, working on this global hope, peace, and unity. To think about it too much is overwhelming. Why have we been given this opportunity? I don't know. I do know that if I think of all the circumstances, series of events that had to take place for us to be at that location, Mount Rushmore, July 13th and 14th, it's almost too much to really think that it could have all been coincidence. So it causes you to think deeply, and perhaps there has been a bigger mission. Perhaps there's been a bigger goal from the very beginning. And so, at this point, I'm going to work as hard as I can for the balance of my days to see if I can't see this through to wherever the end of the journey is. It's too difficult for me to even take a guess at it from where I sit today. But I do know that we've worked hard here in this wonderful United States of America. We've been very fortunate to have gone on now some 14 years. And I do believe that perhaps we're getting into the second part of the journey. And that may take us around the world. But we're going to go there eagerly and without hesitation and without reservation. And do what we can for the greater good of human beings.
As Brulé and Arrow enter into their 14th year as a group, the future looks bright. The events of July 13th and 14th, 2007 have the potential to reach across the world, propelling this little band from South Dakota, their music, and their message to an audience of an unimaginable number. Over the course of history, the musical performers and entertainers from around the world have played various roles of importance to society. With the rise and fall of the humble tunesmith have come countless cycles of exploitation and starvation. Perhaps we are at a point again in the history of our Mother Earth when the role and sacrifice of the artist is paramount. As the trials and tribulations of a planet in crisis accelerate, once again the musician, artist, performer, singer, and dancer will unite in a global gesture of hope, peace, and reconciliation, forgiveness, and healing. Without prejudice or politics to cloud the way, the message becomes clear. We are all related, regardless of the racial distinction and religious boundaries we humans have created. We are all children of a supreme being, equal in the eyes of our Creator, one heart, one mind, one body, there for the greater good of mankind.